How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. In this video we're going to be looking at the Game Week 36 Plus preview. Now, we haven't done a preview video since the start of this lockdown season, so a little bit of a different video here, but I do think it's a highly important video to cover, as now we've finally seen what teams are playing well, how the season is going to turn out, as well as where those final positions on that table are going to occur. So we've got a lot of talking points to go over in this video. We're going to be talking about the best Man City triple up. A lot of us are now looking to get 3 Man City attackers or defenders in your squads, whatever you're looking at. Now we're going to be looking at what are the best options to be looking at in that Man City lineup, as well as are Liverpool players worth it? They come in quite expensive, so are they worth keeping on when there's such better options that are coming in at cheaper the price than those Liverpool options? We're also going to be talking about what teams and differentials you can look at from now to the end of the season, as maybe some differential options to look at. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the team selection video is going to be happening tomorrow. I'm probably going to upload it around the afternoon period, which will give you guys enough time before that Chelsea vs Norwich fixture to see what the final squad will be like. I might post some transfers over on my Twitter at Dayvy FPL if I do make them, but we'll be discussing those moves tomorrow. I might do a deadline with Dayvy live stream. I just think it might be a little bit redundant with the team selection video and then to do a deadline with Dayvy live stream as well. But if there is enough demand for it, I will look at doing it, as I am all for you guys. So if you guys do want it, just let me know down in the comments below, and I will make both the team selection video as well as a live stream for Game Week 36. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an indication of this. There is still the fixture tonight that's going to be happening, the United vs Southampton game. I have 3 players in that fixture, so it's going to be quite a good game, hopefully, for the squad, and the captain's also playing there. So hopefully it's a good game for you guys as well, and your Game Week 35 is trotting along quite nicely. So the first talking point I wanted to bring up is the FA Cup is happening this weekend. It's the semi-finals. We have Arsenal taking on Man City and Manchester United taking on Chelsea. So this is going to be quite an interesting time in FPL, because we obviously have the game weeks happening so quickly, and now we have to fit in another FA Cup game. The squads of those teams are going to be highly stretched. Maybe not the likes of Man City, as they basically have enough substitutes to have a full B team that is still quite respectable. So I don't think I'll be worrying too much about them. However, Pep Guardiola has come out and said in a press conference that he's probably going to be making about 6 changes to that starting lineup. Now, what those 6 changes are, because they could just be the likes of Sterling maybe sitting out and Foden coming in, so that's not really a big change, as I still expect Sterling to come on, or maybe players are completely left out of that starting lineup and the bench, and then they won't even feature. But with Man City, we already have that rotation to worry about, so now with this FA Cup fixture, it only increases that worry. But I do think with the way Man City are playing, we basically have to get their players. We even saw the likes of, if they come off the bench, they still can get some returns and still be relatively good options. The other options are Manchester United. And now Manchester United is an interesting one, because they are still fighting for that top 4 spot, and I don't think any of the top 4 kind of competitive sides can let up. They might have to treat this FA Cup game a little bit less importantly and maybe rest some of their key players, but then again, it is a competition, and I reckon these teams want to win some silverware, and it's basically the last chance for some of these teams to win it. So we could see them play a full strength lineup and then rest players in the Premier League. So it's an interesting situation to be in. We might see full strength squads for all the remaining games, which would probably be a perfect experience, and then maybe those players get substituted a little bit later on. But I just wanted to give you a reminder of this FA Cup, as you do have to take it into consideration when making your transfers and your captaincy decisions. So the first big talking point, the best Man City triple up. Which players should you be looking at? So personally, I feel that their attackers are where it's at. You could still have a defender, maybe a Garcia because he's cheap, or maybe an Edison because he's nailed, but I do think the attackers are where the points are going to be. So I've highlighted my 5 favorite Man City attackers. These are basically all the players that you should be considering, to be honest. We have Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, Sterling, Jesus, and Foden. So right off the bat, I do think if you have to catch up points and you want to get some differential options, the options I'd be looking at would be Mahrez, Sterling, and Jesus. So Kevin De Bruyne is the most highly owned option. I think in FPL totally. Maybe Fernandes comes in quite close, but Kevin De Bruyne's ownership is absolutely insane. So if you want to play it safe, I would recommend just holding on to him. If you want to be a little bit more differential and play it less safe, then I think that you can lose Kevin De Bruyne and maybe take him to Sterling, as Sterling's got a lot less ownership and he does have quite a high ceiling. You can see there on his points, 10 points, 16 points, 10 points, and 21 points are those double-digit hauls that he's got since the start of that lockdown period. So on the screen there, I've highlighted from the start of their lockdown period, Game Week 30 plus, to the current game week that's just occurred, Game Week 35 plus. The one thing I want you to note is with Gabriel Jesus against Burnley in Game Week 30 was when Sergio Aguero got injured. So he came on at half time there for Sergio Aguero, so he got 45 minutes, and the interesting thing about it is he hasn't played every game or started every game since Aguero has been injured. So that tells me that he's not the only out-and-out striker that Man City or Pep Guardiola can use. They sometimes used Raheem Sterling as that false nine position. So that doesn't mean because of the Aguero injury that Gabriel Jesus is nailed on. And also the thing that worries me about Jesus is that he hasn't had many plus 60 minutes. So you can see that against Chelsea, came off the bench for 35. Against Liverpool, only lasted 57. But I think that game was a little bit of an anomaly because of how dominant Man City were. So maybe they wanted to rest some of their players. And then against Newcastle and Brighton, he's received about 60 minutes. So I think with Gabriel Jesus, I think he will start the next game, but I think he will be taken off at that 60-minute mark probably. Whether that's enough for him to get points, definitely with how high-flying Man City have been, especially against a Bournemouth side that have struggled a little bit. So Gabriel Jesus does seem an option, but he does seem more of a risky option. And then we have the likes of Riyad Mahrez, who's basically started or featured in every single game since lockdown. I just had that one bench appearance there. Otherwise, he usually lasts about 60 minutes or even the 90 minutes against Chelsea and Brighton, which looks quite good. But then if he started 90 minutes, you can kind of expect him maybe to not start the next one, which is kind of the trend we've seen here, is if they start 70 minutes, they might not start the next one with Mahrez. Whereas Raheem Sterling, if he starts 90 minutes, he either starts the next one or he just misses out completely, which is like Arsenal and Burnley. Against Southampton at 58 minutes, and then he's had a bench appearance against Newcastle, which might have been his bench appearance. Maybe Pep Guardiola wants to give one of his players a bench every successive game week, and then they can feature in the future. But I think Raheem Sterling is definitely the on-form player for Man City, so I think we're definitely going to see him feature at the start in that FA Cup game. Now, whether that means he starts against Bournemouth or he comes off the bench, I still think he could be in with some points. Now, Phil Foden is also a good option. I think he's guaranteed to start the next game against Bournemouth. So if you want a guaranteed player, I would look at Phil Foden, but I would only go from if you really need the money. Maybe you want to upgrade some other departments, maybe bring in the likes of Gabriel Jesus into your striker position. Then I would look at Phil Foden. Otherwise, I don't think I would be looking at him if I had all the money to spend on either Mahrez, Sterling, or Jesus. So my favorite option probably for the differential aspect is going to be Mahrez, Sterling, and Jesus. And then if you want to play it a little bit more safe, I would go for De Bruyne, Jesus, and Sterling. Those are my three favorites for the safe options and the more differential options. Now, on Liverpool assets, are they worth it? So I'm going to be highlighting probably the likes of the defense and their attack here. Not covering the likes of Firmino because I don't think many of us own him. So Trent Alexander-Arnold and Salah / Mane or Robertson. So whoever you own, are they worth owning? So with the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, I do think he's had his rest now, so I can't see him missing out for the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. I don't think Klopp is going to throw Neco Williams into the firing line there against a top 4 contended side. So I do think Robertson and Trent will start both those games. Now, whether that means that they're going to keep a clean sheet, I don't know. Liverpool recently have not looked great since coming out of lockdown. They've looked rusty and not to their sharp self. So I don't know. I think it's even worth maybe not having a Liverpool option because of how well Man City have been playing. But I do think I'd probably keep hold of Trent Alexander-Arnold or Robertson just because of how attacking they are. And even Trent, he has some dead ball situations that he could get some points on. I think the big talking point is with the likes of Mo Salah and Sadio Mane. So I don't think there's a reason to get rid of them, but I don't think that they're essential. So if you really want to take them to the likes of Sterling or maybe a De Bruyne or Mahrez or someone like that, or maybe you just need the money. I see it's perfectly fine to do that. So I think you can do it as well if you don't have any fires to put out. That could be quite a nice move to do because of the likes of Chelsea and Newcastle. I think the Arsenal fixture is quite good, which is probably what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be holding on for Salah for that Arsenal game just because of how badly they've been defensively. And I think against Burnley, Salah had some good chances. I also think that they're probably going to be playing the remaining fixtures. They don't have an FA Cup game. I think the only risk with them is that they're probably going to be taken off at about that 60-minute mark, that 70-minute mark, because I don't think since the start of lockdown, Liverpool haven't made a change at that 60-minute mark. So they're always making substitutions then. So we could see maybe the likes of Salah or Mane get substituted then. I do think after this Arsenal fixture, we could be looking at taking them out, as we'll be getting a little more clarification of how this season's going to be turning out, whether the likes of maybe Arsenal or Chelsea are completely out of that top 4 clash, and or whether they're still in it and they've still got a lot to play for. So I wanted to give you guys some teams to target and avoid. Now I know the avoid teams are probably a little bit redundant because you already know them, and not a lot of us have those players, but I'm going to be highlighting the likes of Norwich, Newcastle, Aston Villa and Leicester. Now Leicester's a little bit of a controversial one. I've just brought in Jamie Vardy, but I think against Bournemouth we showed that they're feeling the pressure a little bit, not up to their regular self. They've got a lot of injuries, the likes of Maddison and Chilwell, which are affecting them from a creative point of view. So I don't think we should be bringing in Leicester assets. Also had Soyuncu that got that red card, so defensively they're going to be a little bit hindered in their upcoming games. Also think since the start of lockdown, they haven't played that great. I think we just kind of took a punt on them because it was Bournemouth and how badly Bournemouth have been. But then it showed there that Leicester aren't in the best form as well. In terms of teams to target, Everton, Man City, Burnley, Manchester United, Arsenal and Southampton. Now some of these teams we already know, like the likes of Man City and United. But then Arsenal, after Liverpool, they have 2 nice fixtures to end off the season. So I do think we could be looking at them. Southampton, Danny Ings and players like that also look quite good. And from a defensive point of view, Everton and Burnley have some nice cheap options with some good fixtures. So these are the teams I'd be looking at for your transfers in. In terms of end of season differentials, I've highlighted 2 players here, Antonio and Willian. Now Antonio, I know a little bit of hindsight, probably only looking at him because of those 4 goals he scored against Norwich, but I just think with these 2 teams, West Ham and Chelsea, they still have something to play for. West Ham in and around that relegation zone, they have to win their last remaining games to stay safe, and then obviously with Chelsea, they're challenging for that top 4 spot, and they're going to have to win their remaining games to kind of qualify for that next Champions League season. So with these 2 players, you can rotate them. I don't think I'd be looking away from Antonio because he is playing out of position at West Ham, but with Willian, you could also go for Pulisic if you favor him. But the reason I've highlighted these 2 players was courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub here. They are highest rated on the expected points per game. So these are the points expected since the start of that lockdown season. So these 2 players are top of those charts, and I just think that proves how well they're playing. I think with Chelsea, they will rebound after that Sheffield United game. Their fixtures coming up aren't the best in the world. Their next one is quite nice against Norwich, but then they face Liverpool, and we've seen with Liverpool though, they haven't been at their best, so Chelsea could still get something out of that game. And with Willian, he seems to be on a lot of set pieces as well, so you could equal points from that. But these are the 2 I'd be looking at. There are obviously other differentials, but these are 2 differentials that are playing really well, and people still haven't really mass transferred them in because we're kind of focusing on the likes of United and Man City. So this is basically a wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the team selection, or maybe even the Deadline with Dayvy live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As I said, I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.